All right, back at it with my boy Alexi here. It's been a great morning. It's a great morning for me. I know many people don't know this. I'm a night owl, so like on the weekends I sleep in, and I woke up at like 12 today, and I was just above the moon when I saw Chelsea got destroyed by West Brom. I woke up. And by the way, welcome back to the channel. Sorry, I skipped all that. I'm too excited to talk about how bad Chelsea's done. Welcome back. Another match day preview with Alexi. Like, subscribe, Trapper Talk, you know the deal. Now, back to what I was saying. I woke up. One of the best messages I saw this morning, my boy is a Chelsea fan. And we have a group where there's a bunch of us chatting. It's just a footy chat. And one guy's like, yo, this can't be real. And he sends a screenshot of the 5-2. My buddy just goes, yo, my fiance's got me on suicide watch right now. This guy was giving us the gas, hitting us all week, last week, 2 weeks. So it's all fans. There's no other Chelsea fans just being like, Chelsea, see, we hired Tuchel. Everything's going to be great. And listen, I'm not going to be too overreactionary, and this is a United preview, but we have to talk about Chelsea because of what's going on in the table. It's very important to actually what's going on in their season. And the amount of gas that's been given since Tuchel's came in and how they've said, like, see, if United did the same thing, this is what would happen. And I'm pretty sure all United fans said the same thing. Yeah, we had a new manager bounce too. Everybody goes through
ours was a bigger bounce.
Ours was much bigger.
They only won 2 out of their last 5 league games before today as well.
Yeah.
And when you look at, I've collated these quotes over what's been quite a fun day. One of these is from an account called Nizar Kinsella. I think he's a journalist. He said, Chelsea, this is when they were 4-2 down, I believe. Chelsea are playing their best football of the match. Tuchel staff has been energised by it, and you can feel the tension from the West Brom bench. Whoa, that sounds a lot like vibes to me. We've also got James Robson, who is from MEN, I believe. He said, Tuchel has made a point of high-fiving or shaking hands with every Chelsea player as they leave the pitch. The job of rebuilding confidence starts right away. And you go, right, okay.
It's hard not to laugh when you read those quotes out loud, right?
It's incredible because you look at it and you go, okay. Ollie's had a lot of criticism. Some of it's fair, some of it's ridiculous. One of the criticisms Ollie has is he's just a vibes manager, right? He just goes off vibes.
We're out here vibing, Dad.
So, you know, if high-fiving and energising a bench when you're 4-2 down, I mean, that sounds a lot like vibes to me. And it's quite interesting now that the best characteristics of Ollie, which I believe are his man management, it gets dismissed when it's Ollie, doesn't it? They just say it's kind of, it's just vibes.
So this is the problem.
When Tuchel loses 5-2, so I'm just going to read out the last one again because it made me really laugh.
Yeah, go nuts.
Tuchel has made a point of high-fiving or shaking hands with every Chelsea player as they leave the pitch. The job of rebuilding confidence starts right away. After a 5-2 loss at home. 5-2.
See, this is the thing. The problem with Ollie, this has always been what's haunted him. If Ollie just managed at any other club other than Mulder, like if he was at like a Sevilla or even like a Granada or any other team, like if he managed anywhere else and had a decent CV, he wouldn't get the vitriol that he gets. The reason he gets all this vitriol is because he hasn't, like, Tuchel has a good resume. Let's be honest. He has a really good resume. So, and I will always say he's tactically a better manager than Ollie. Of course, like there's evidence. Like I can't not say that. But Lord, the gas that was given by the Chelsea fans saying, like, it's at the end of the day, there's another quote that I think is a really important one that one of the guys that I follow, he follows me, a great guy, Colin, quoted out, and it was from Allegri, basically doing an interview with Sky Sports. And he basically came out, and this was fantastic. Let me see if I can pull it up real quick. I thought I had it on my screen, but everything went away. Yeah, so he goes, do you watch basketball? You have the ball and you have 3 seconds. So who do you give the ball to? The most talented player. He's like, you think formations win in football? Let's pay for tactics and then say Messi and CR7 and Higuain are worthless. So basically what he's saying there is, yeah, of course tactics matter, but it's as I've said with Pep too, it's having good players. And that's why City continuously dominates. And Pep, again, he's on a different class. I don't compare other managers to Pep because he's that good.
Yeah, he's brilliant.
It's just not fair. It's not fair to compare anybody else to Pep Guardiola. Plain and simple. Pep Guardiola is the GOAT. Well, not GOAT. The second GOAT, because the GOAT is Sir Alex Ferguson. But Pep Guardiola, let's be clear. If he keeps this up with City, wins another like 15 titles or does something crazy, we wouldn't be like, he might surpass the guy. That's the crazy thing. And you know what? Legends and records are all meant to be broken and passed. Pep Guardiola is doing that right now. He's killing it. So let's stop comparing him to every other manager in the world because it's not fair. He's in a different class, completely different class. Ollie's doing his thing. Now, getting on to the game coming up, I'm not feeling any sort of way about it. It's always interesting to see what happens after international break. The most important thing that I think we're going to have to do this game is, now that we've seen Leicester drop points, I haven't even seen the end of the game, but I just assumed it's done.
Yeah, I turned it off.
Yeah, it's like it's done. And then Chelsea drop points. Cool. We're never really worried. Who's in fourth right now? I always forget because it changes so many times.
I think it's Chelsea. So if we win, we're 4 points ahead, unless in the time we've been on, Leicester have won 3-2.
Yeah. Chelsea's in fourth. It's not West Ham. Sorry. Go on.
Yes, we'd be 4 ahead of Leicester and 9 ahead of Chelsea. So this is a really, really big opportunity.
Exactly. So this is what we need to do, because we've had this problem before in the past where we haven't been able to recently it's been okay, but in the past, like before, like our recent runs where our rivals, the people that we're competing against, drop points and then we drop points too. We have to make sure we do not drop points tomorrow. That's the most important thing. 3 points. That's it. Not one. You get the 3 points. We move. I was chatting with my good buddy Indiana, and I was just saying, listen, if we win tomorrow, I feel like top 4 is all done. It's basically done and dusted. Like it's almost mathematically like you would have to be really poor to fall out of top 4 at this point. And we have too much talent. So we just the response needs to be there tomorrow, where it's like, cool, we see what's going on, because now if we talk about what like the games Chelsea has left, they have a tough run. Leicester has a tough run. We have an okay run. We do have Tottenham. We do have Liverpool still. And that's about it, right? So we do, when it comes to tough games, and we have Leicester, I think, one more game, right? Don't we have one more game against Leicester? Because we played them so many times because of the competitions. But so what are your thoughts on the Brighton game? Like, how do you think we should approach it? What's your feelings?
Yeah, big opportunity. Kind of like you said, we've had a lot of these over the last 2 years, haven't we? Kind of like if we win this, we go into this position. So yeah, we do it. It feels big in the sense that, like you said, I think if we do win this game, top 4 is pretty much wrapped up. 9 points ahead of 4th at that point. Obviously, presumably, it'll be a bigger point margin outside of 4th as well. It would give us a bit of daylight in 2nd. I mean, Brighton are a good side. They're a very well coached side. Graham Potter's doing a very good job kind of implementing his style. But it's clear with him, kind of like what we were saying earlier, like it's clear with him that you can have a great style of football, but sometimes you do need the players to execute it, because Brighton they're called like the XG Kings, aren't they? Because they create like ridiculous amounts of chances in games and can't finish them off. There was a game against, was it West Brom a few weeks ago? It was a really crazy game for them. They missed like 2 penalties and stuff like that and had disallowed goals. They have been quite unlucky. What I'm worried about this is I think they could create a lot of chances, which is worrying, but also Danny Welbeck is coming back again. And when Danny Welbeck plays Manchester United, he scores against us every time. And it's just, whatever circumstance he's in his career, he'll just rock up against us and score. So I'm quite worried about him. And obviously they've got some other good players like Adam Lallana and stuff as well. Gross is really impressive player. Obviously, Ben White, we've been linked with him. I mean, that's not saying much because we get linked with everyone.
Yeah.
But
I don't love those links, if I'm going to be honest. Like, the way I look at it, and I've been saying, it's like, unless a player coming in, like a defensive player, is much better than Lindelof or Maguire, why are we buying them? The whole point is that we don't want just average at the center back position anymore, right? So Lindelof is just above average, in my opinion. And Maguire is just above average, in my opinion. They need somebody beside them, either one of them, to elevate them to be a very good player, right? Like Maguire, when he plays for England, is a completely different player, which is weird because it's not like England has a bunch of great defenders either. It's just the style they play that suits him. In my opinion, I don't love the Ben White links. It's like if Rafael Varane is available for whatever's been said, like the 59, 60 million, you go get Rafael Varane. You just do it. You don't think twice. Some other news, I'm going to go a little bit off topic here, but some other good news this morning was seeing that Dortmund lost again.
Yeah.
Like Dortmund lost again. And I did read that apparently we aren't taking a meeting with Haaland's parent. I don't know if that's true, but if it is, it makes sense. Like if we don't have 150 M's to spend, don't have the meeting. I agree with that. Like literally
with Haaland, who has 100. The problem is as well, the reason I don't think Haaland leaves this summer is because if you buy him this summer, you're paying possibly double the amount you could just get
literally double the amount
release clause. So you're basically having to justify paying 70 million. It's like almost like a loan, isn't it? It's like 70 million for 9 months of a player, which is in a pandemic, can clubs justify it really?
I don't think they can. And I think the big reason why why it shouldn't, like why they wouldn't sell him, why they've set the money at that is because a lot of people don't think about math and business and dollars and revenue and what Champions League does for your revenue and all of that. People don't think about this. Yes, even with Haaland and Sancho this year, they may miss Champions League. But if we're going to be honest with ourselves, if Dortmund hold on to Haaland next year, they should get back in the Champions League, no problem, right? If you sell both Haaland and Sancho, you now may miss Champions League. That's actually now a reality. If you sell both of those players, you're putting yourselves in a situation to lose all of that prize money, to lose all of the revenue from the ad space, the commercials, everything, the marketing. You lose a lot of it. So I don't believe they will sell both. I do believe Sancho will move because they will have to raise funds in some way, shape, or form. The only way that Haaland moves is if Haaland comes out, or Mino Raiola, that I can't stand him, but whatever, he's good at what he does, comes out and says he wants to go here. And then that club's going to be less scrambling to find the money to pay for it. Because like if it's a Barcelona, like they always seem to find money. Like, you know, the back-to-back years where they spent like 180, then 110, and then 100 million. You're like, where are you getting this money from? Like, what's happening? So it could be them. But anyway, back to the game. Because I just think that news, like the Dortmund stuff, it's like we're at that time of the year where other teams' results and what's going on with other teams, other leagues, like even what's going on at PSG, we could talk about that in a bit too. Yeah. Like these things all have a connection back to what's going on in our league and what's going on with United. Like if Pochettino goes to Liga, and sorry, I want to stay on this topic actually. I'm sure you're good to riff on it too. If Pochettino doesn't win Liga and doesn't win the Champions League, will people shut up? Because listen, I like Poch. I've never been a Poch hater. I thought, hey, if Poch comes in, like Poch was my pick. If we were to like bring in a manager before Ollie, it was going to be Poch. That was my pick. I was like, might as well. He's done it. He's shown that he's good in the Prem. He really wanted to come to United. That's the thing. He openly was like, that's where I want to go. So what are your thoughts on like what's going on? Like if he's like, does it just kind of show that there's a massive bias towards Ollie and a massive bias towards United, like in the choices we make?
Well, so Cam, I have another quote for this. From Get French Football News, which is like really big source on Twitter, kind of news source. Of the 4 League One title chasers this season, PSG have the least cohesive identity and sequencing when it comes to build-up play. The Maurizio Pochettino era is so far defined domestically as individual brilliance or tiring out of opposition rather than waves of creative inspiration.
That sounds like my pro football club, FC Vibes, baby. Shout out.
I mean,
that's tough.
It feels like today, kind of, for all the people who've been constantly slandered for kind of defending Ollie against Pochettino, today feels a bit like Christmas Day. Because, so if I'm getting this right, so the people who want Ollie gone want him gone because of his individual brilliance, just vibes,
lack of system, lack of in-game management, smiles too much.
Smiles too much. I mean, that's the worst thing Ollie's done. I mean, I don't know why they don't just cancel his contract from that, to be honest. It's, you know. But
God forbid you smile and like after losing a game. God forbid you don't want to just sulk and bring a dark cloud over the post game interview.
yeah, so you're looking at it now and you're kind of going, okay, so I mean, I tweeted this out earlier. So Mauricio Pochettino has lost as many games in the last 2 months as Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has in the last 14 months. That's league games. I think league games are the best barometer of how good a team is because
Correct.
38 games a season, you develop a kind of consensus or a data set of consistency. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of suggests we've been pretty good over the last 14 months or so overall. Obviously, we've had a few dips, but we've been pretty good. PSG.
Hold on. Actually, most people would just say we should be thanking like Liverpool for sucking so much, but like I'll leave it there.
Or just thanking the vibes that have been brought down onto us. But yeah, so you look at it and you go, okay, so the people who want Pochettino in seem to want him in because he's a tactical genius. But then I'm just a bit worried that it seems he relies on individual brilliance and vibes as well. But then it begs a further question. Is there a manager in the world that does not rely on individual brilliance?
It's a wild one with Poch too, because a lot of people said like he's good with young players, he's good with not a lot of budget, he's good with all these things, and it's like, cool. So Ollie so far has one of the youngest teams in the Prem. He, based on the fact that we're United, hasn't been able to spend nearly as much as like you look over in London and you see Chelsea drop 200 million last year. Like you see all these other squads spend about the same as we have. So it's not like like Spurs spent a lot. Liverpool spent, like, it's not like they didn't. Like Jota was money. Like that was 45 million. Thiago was, I think, what, 25 or 29 or something. There's fees for these players. Like, so it's not like Ollie was given I hate the term war chest, but a war chest of 300 million, bought Sancho, bought Varane, bought all these players, and then still is in the position he's in. Listen, I'd be the first one to come down on him if we were to get Sancho and we were to get Declan Rice and we were still this far away from City. Because at that point, you'd be like, we have no excuse. Like, it's just like you look at Poch and he's got two of the best players in the world. Like, by far, it's not even close, the gap between them and some of the players in the world.
Their attack is almost to the level of if you're playing on the Xbox and I went on to open a career mode or a football.
You always play PSG.
It's ridiculous, and it's like you want like Neymar and Mbappe, like you said, are two of the best players in the world, and I just don't get where my problem is. Right, so Ollie loses a game, it's all on him. There's no excuses. Whereas Pochettino loses 4 in League One or Ligue 1, sorry, which isn't the highest level, and it's a league that PSG win every year, and they have the best.
They cruise. They cruise. Yeah, they don't even they kind of win. They dominate.
Yeah, and yet he just gets kind of excused from it because of various reasons. And it's like, I'm not being funny, but they literally have like one of the most expensively assembled teams ever. Neymar and Mbappe combined was about 380 million.
I think.
And you're telling me.
Yeah. 380. That's the number. Yeah.
That's outrageous.
Maybe more.
And yet you're telling me that, you know, that they shouldn't be top. I mean, someone said earlier to me, oh, but they're the second best team in the league this season. Lille are better. I'm like, but they should be the first best team. That's the point. Like,
there's no
like.
And that's the thing. People say, if they look at, look at United. We have Pogba, we have Rashford, we have Greenwood, all these good players. Yes, we do. We 100% do, but we're second in the league. So it's like, this is what always confuses me. People say like we should be better. I'm like, how can we? City is a gargantuan, unmovable tanker stuck between the canal. That's what they are. They're ridiculous. They're that good. And it's just time to just start recognizing that there was a time where United were looked at the same way, where it was like teams felt coming into the league, whatever, we're not going to win this year anyway. It's probably going to be United or even Arsenal. The only difference is we've actually still at least maintained being in that top 4, top 3 conversation where these other teams have fallen off. Like Liverpool had a span for a long time where they weren't even considered a top 4 challenger for a bit. Like I remember where I used to be like, Liverpool's an easy matchup. Like,
that kind of time.
Exactly, right? So it's like this whole spoiled fan base that we have where it's just every win's supposed to be inevitable for us. Everything's supposed to be inevitable. Like, remember the gas, the amount of just people who came out at us for losing our streak to a relegation side in Sheffield United. It's like, but you lost to Sheffield. Cool. Chelsea just lost to West Brom. You're actually more likely to lose to these teams when you're in that kind of form than you are to lose to good teams, because players are humans. They switch off. Like, if I'm fighting, if I get, like, I'm a martial artist. I'm gonna go off a little tangent here. I'm a martial artist. If I am about to get into a fight with somebody on the street and you're like I don't know, like you're a big guy and you're like a 5'10", 5'11", 6 foot jack guy, like, I'm gonna take that a lot. I'm gonna look at you and be like, all right, cool, I gotta switch on. Like, this is serious. Like, oh shit. Or if I'm in the ring with you. If you're like a 15-year-old and you came up to me and you're like, oh man, like, I'm gonna beat you up, I'd probably just laugh. And if that kid knocked me out, it would be on me, because I would just be like, yo, he's like 130 pounds. Like, I didn't think he could hit that hard. Like, it's just human nature is you get up for the competition. It's just what it is. And it's unfortunate. Like, this is why I had a conversation with some people the other day where they said, and it was a cool chat about like being North American and like the MLS having playoffs, and there's no playoffs in the Premier League and stuff like that. So in other sports, like basketball is a good example. You have so many, thanks, buddy. Appreciate that, Yusuf. You have so many games where really good teams will sometimes just suck against bad teams. And it's because you just go in a lull. Whereas when the playoffs come, you see teams go into like beast mode. Like, some teams just completely change who they are when the playoffs come. And it's because they know what's at stake now, and you're switched on. In the Premier League, you can have these gaps and these lapses of like just brain lapses, because you're going against a West Brom and you're thinking, like, if you're Chelsea, this is easy money. Like, Sheffield United, this is easy money. It's a mental thing. So, like, people just need to get it out of their heads that everything is inevitable. Like, that winning just is supposed to happen. It's a game. It's a sport. That's why we play. That's why we play the games. If we didn't, we'd all just be on Football Manager simulating things. You play the games to see what happens, which is why tomorrow we got to take it serious now. I was thinking let's get into the lineups a bit, because I'm curious. With our injuries right now, we're in what would be defined as an injury crisis. Sure, and it's like, I hate that word crisis because it's overused, but if Rashford and Greenwood barely were able to practice, Martial's out, Cavani, I don't know, he's made of breadsticks. Who are our front players that are healthy? Amad Diallo, 18-year-old, and Dan James, who's
Ollie
been a
might have
decent
to play.
player. Like, you might be better off putting Ollie up there. So who would you think, like, our front? I actually think we're gonna go with the front too, but you'd let me know what you think we're gonna do.
So, do you remember the last preview we did? And I kind of went on that kind of rant about how I said that when Ollie said Pogba and Marshall were injured, I thought maybe they weren't intended to play.
Yeah.
I think the same thing again to an extent. I think basically Ollie's been on kind of like a Fergie type thing where he's just called up the international. Obviously, Rashford is actually injured. I get that. And Marshall did have a slight injury, but I think he's called up the international managers and just gone, look, I know Fergie. He's a very scary man. Pull all the players out of the international team right now. I need them. Because when you look at it, right, Bruno, he got suspended and came home, right, which is lovely. Rashford's kind of just went away to England but didn't play. He just hung around with Lingard for a bit. Greenwood pulled out after about kind of 2 days. And then obviously Martial got the kind of muscle injury. I think we'll see Rashford. I really do. I think we'll probably see Rashford, Greenwood, and Cavani. I mean, I'm not completely sure what's going on with Cavani because it's impossible to keep track because, like, there's always something going on, it seems. But I think we will see those three. I might be wrong because obviously medically it might not be a good idea to play them, but I think that's what we're going to see, kind of similar to what happened against Leicester.
This will fall perfectly in place with your Ollie's a liar thing, which is great because I love that rant. because he did say they lightly trained, right? And you know, what does that mean? What does that mean, right? It's a good question. Like when you say lightly trained, like is it because they weren't able to sprint? Yes, if Cavani being fit, if Cavani's fit, he'll start up top. Which this is the game he should start. Like he should start up top, and like Brighton, he should cause them all sorts of problems. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, I would be surprised. It would be really cool if Cavani started with Ahmad on the right and Daniel James on the left, to be honest. And then you had Rashford and Greenwood available. It would be interesting to see if we did that. I don't know. Like all he always does it he goes both ways. Sometimes he starts a stronger team, sometimes he doesn't. Bruno's 100% going to play.
Yeah.
Bruno was never not going to play. The center back pairing we'll get to, you said for sure, because I know for sure without a doubt Lindelof is hurt. He's getting injections into his back and stuff. Rashford's probably going to play. I don't want him to. I'm basically trying to talk it into existence that he doesn't play, because I just think Granada coming up after, that's going to be our first game after this one. And we have to prioritize Europa League, and we need Rashford. Like we need Rashford 100%. Like we need him to be able to run at these players, cause havoc. Like I love watching Rashford play against lower sides from other leagues because they just don't know how to deal with his pace and power. It's just not a thing you see in other leagues. Like if you think about it in Spain, like let's be honest, on the left side, there's no player in Spain on the left side that attacks with the power and pace of a Son, of a Marcus Rashford. Like they don't have that style of player. So like even AC Milan, the coach came out and said, the player that scares me the most on United is Marcus Rashford. Because
it was like with Sociedad away, he kept making the runs in behind constantly against Sociedad, and it was like they hadn't even researched him. You know, it was like they hadn't even. It was crazy. They just completely maybe it's because like you said, they're not used to that type of player, but they just let him just do his thing constantly. And it's like, it's crazy because if Granada do the same thing, I mean, I think they've conceded like one of the highest amount of goals in the league. And like Spanish teams, obviously I can't generalize Spanish teams because I know Sevilla are quite defensive, but I think on the whole, Spanish football is a bit more progressive than English football in the sense
more progressive, it's more fluid to tackle that came from Spain, right? So I would say like moving into the midfield, we're probably going to see Bruno start off. Well, not probably. We're going to see Bruno start. It gets dicey. See, Van de Beek played last game. He wasn't great.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised to see him play again, though. It depends on Pogba. Pogba played in the international break, though, right? So Pogba played in international break. I could see Pogba, Bruno, and then Fred playing with them. And then one of them coming off fairly early. Not Bruno, but probably Pogba coming off after 60 minutes.
Yeah.
I think that would happen. Actually, that's my prediction. I'm going to say it's going to be Bruno, Pogba, and Fred. I don't know what the obsession with starting Fred is, but he's going to play, I think.
So I think it might be Matic. Oh, actually, Fred didn't go away either, did he, with Brazil?
No, he's not Brazilian. That's why.
Yeah. But Matic had a couple of weeks off, and then again, he wasn't very good. Well, basically, one of them's got to play. So, I think we might see kind of throwback to post-lockdown kind of thing. Matic, Paul Pogba, and Bruno Fernandes. And obviously, that's probably because largely Fred wasn't too good against Leicester at all.
He was so bad.
He was terrible. And I think he needs some time out of the team because you can't just keep rewarding bad performances like that. I think I'd quite like to see Matic, Bruno, and Pogba because we've not had a chance to see it for a really long time because obviously Pogba's been injured and stuff.
And you don't have to worry about being overrun in the midfield by Brighton, right? So like you can have Matic sit by himself, let Pogba and Bruno have fun out there and just feed it through. We know Pogba's going to get up in the pitch. I hope we're not seeing anything like Pogba on the left or anything like that anymore. I just think it's just Fred's been so bad. You're right. You just can't reward a bad performance at all. And Yusuf here says Fred should play because he's better than Matic. That's cool, but like he's been bad. And like you gotta hit a point where if you're that bad, like as bad as he was, like because he was horrendous, you need to sit. You need to just be like, take some time to reflect. It's like a kid making a mistake. You throw them in the corner. You hope they come out of it better. Like, Fred is one of those players where I would love to see us sell him this summer. Just if there's any sort of fee you can get for him, do it, because I think we do need to really ramp up our own kitty so we can actually go out and buy certain players. Like we need at least 2 players this summer. Who we're gonna get, I don't know, but we need, like, of the 3 positions we need the most, it's right wing. I don't think we're getting a striker personally. I know we're saying it's a priority. We're not getting one. I don't think. I think we need a CDM. It's the number 1, a right wing. And I don't think we need a center back, but I think everybody thinks we need a center back. So I think we're going to look at them. I don't think we need one. I think we need a CDM that can sit and protect those 2 idiots. Going into the defense. It's true, though. Going into the defense. I like Maguire. I really do. I really do. People would think I don't, but I really do like Maguire. But like sometimes him and Lindelof are just hard to watch. But it's going to be Maguire and Bailly. So we should keep a clean sheet as long as Bailly doesn't do anything stupid. That's the thing. All of our center backs are dumbasses. Like, let's be honest. Like, they all make ridiculous choices at the worst time.
They have their moments.
They have their moments. Like, they can be so good and so dominating. And then there's some games you're like,
I think they're all a lot better than people say they are.
Yeah.
Matic, Lindelof, and Bailly. But I just think, yeah, like you said, they quite often have moments where you just sat there like, oh, and it's all 3 of them. Just
every one of them
moments,
and it's always fun playing on the back.
I think weirdly, like, Bailly has a lot of erratic moments, but then I guess that's because of how he plays, because he's crazy.
That guy defines vibes. He just feels like a walking vibe to me. Like when I watch him play, he just feels like you're just a happy dude, man. You're just out there,
I just love it when he smiles when he just absolutely 2-foot someone. Like he just looks so happy.
It's like straight slide, leg up in the air, and then he just gets up and he's like,
yeah. He's like, what, me?
What? You're like, bro, you could have broke Batman's leg.
Oh, do you know what was good? When we had Bailly and Rojo together.
Oh,
I mean, that was war.
If you're an attacker and you're looking at those 2, you're just sitting there being like, I just don't want to break anything today. Like I just don't. Those 2 were just. I don't know. You probably haven't watched this movie. It's a Canadian American classic, Mighty Ducks. It's basically kids playing hockey. And there's these 2 kids on, like, they recruit them. They're bigger than the rest of the team, and they call them the Bash Bros. Like they're not very skillful. They just go around and they're just like, and they just beat kids up. That's what Bailly and Rojo were. They just go like you're just like you're like there's not a lot of skill here. Like Bailly's actually got decent skill when he's on the ball, to be honest. But he does. He'll
it was just assault every week, wasn't it? Really.
He'll basically the problem with Bailly and Maguire, both of them do this. How many times are you watching a game and you see like Paul Pogba when he's sitting deep, and you look on the screen and Maguire's like 10 meters in front of him, and you're sitting there being like,
yeah,
why is Pogba further back than you, Maguire? Like, why are you overlapping? Like, what was this run for? What are you doing? Because then he always, like, he'll go on his runs, and then he'll stop. He'll look around and then realize, oh, shoot, I have no one to pass to because Pogba's all the way back there. And Bruno's further up because he should be. And now I'm on an island in the midfield, and someone's going to close him down being like, Maguire, you've come down the wrong alley. You know, like, go down the wrong dark alley, and Maguire just lost it. Like, oh, shoot. Happens so much.
It does. And the problem is, like, I actually quite like Maguire, but he's not the fastest footballer. That's a good point. So the crazy stat is Juan Mata has more red cards for United than Marcus Rojo.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, because Rojo's never been sent off. I think that's really crazy because there was a lot of leg breakers, wasn't there? But also, Juan Mata did get sent off once against West Brom away, I remember. You know, he's famed for being, a tough tackling.
I do remember that. I remember that. Because, that's the thing. He's so little. So when he tackles, sometimes they're erratic. Who's another one? Herrera did it a bunch. Maguire does it a few times too. There's some times where Maguire loses his head a lot. So Maguire reminds me of some of like you British guys who just like are not bad. Like I've met a lot of them on vacation where they get drunk and they just like want to fight everybody. Maguire has those moments in games. Maguire has those moments in games where I'm like, oh, he's lost it. He's gone. There's nothing there right now. Okay, the big one, the actual one, because we know who the rest of the defenders are going to be. It's going to be Luke Shaw. It's going to be Aaron Wan-Bissaka.
Of course.
Even though Luke Shaw played on international break, he seems like he's just in good shape right now. There's no reason not to play him. And because Telles is good enough to fill in, you're not as worried about him getting like a knock or something. As awesome as he's been and as much as we need him, that's the one place on our team where I can be like, we have such proper cover there that you're like, if Shaw goes down, at very least, Telles is good enough to play a couple games and not hurt you.
Yeah.
The keeper, who's Ollie going to go with?
Oh, no. This could go really wrong, because the problem is, so we have this game tomorrow, and then we have Europa League Thursday and then Tottenham Sunday. Henderson's going to play on Thursday. So if Henderson plays tomorrow and Thursday, and then he just throws De Gea in on Sunday against Tottenham, that's really risky. I know it's harsh to De Gea. I love De Gea. Like, he's been, honestly, like, probably the best keeper I've seen. You've got to play Henderson now. He doesn't concede many goals at all. His stats are better in terms of claims, in terms of his distribution. He's had a run in the team now. And I just think you've got to play him, because you play him tonight, then you can play him on Thursday because you're going to play him anyway, and then play him on Sunday. Because I think it would be it's quite a big week. I just don't like the idea of like Henderson playing the next two and then De Gea getting thrown in against Spurs. Because you've got to remember, like, Mourinho's going to know De Gea's weaknesses, like the back of his hand. He will get targeted in that game. So I personally would just like to see Henderson in all three, to be honest.
So this is where we're going to find out if Ollie's a liar or not, like how big of a liar he is, straight up. Because in that interview, he was bullish. He's like, they're both going to be playing the rest of the season. And he didn't even specify whether Dino was going to play the rest of Europa or De Gea was going to come in. And I hope that doesn't happen. That's criminal when you do that. I think if somebody's played a tournament and has got you as far, like, they need to play the whole way through. And I think
he did it with Romero last year, didn't he?
And I think that was a massive mistake. And I thought that was a very big mistake, because it puts a weird pressure on De Gea. It does. It's like, okay, we're bringing you in because now you absolutely have to shut the door. You're better than Romero. So we're bringing you in to do a job that you haven't been really doing, but you're so good. So this is the way I see it going down. Is I think David De Gea comes back this week, to kind of keep that integrity of Dino's going to see out the Europa League without any questions. I don't want it to be that way. I agree with you. I think De Gea, you went away, you had a family thing. You left yourself vulnerable to Dino coming in and taking your spot. No fault to you. Like, no one's mad that you went and you had family stuff. Like, I'm not one of those people. Go take care of your family. You had a kid. That's more important. But in sport, there's always somebody waiting for that moment. Just like if somebody goes on mat leave, like, there's always somebody who's like, oh, I'll come in and take the contract. And it's like, if they're better than the person who left or on pat leave, either way, then now that person's still going to come back because they have a contract, but they may be doubt seated because somebody's like, oh, well, this person came in and they were so good. Like, this woman came in and replaced you and she was really good. And now you come back and we're like, oh, we kind of liked her better. You know what I mean? So it's like, this is what happens when you do go on these breaks. And now Dino has been great in the span. He had the one mistake that I eviscerated him for, and that's just me being fair. Like, I thought it was unforgivable, the mistake against AC Milan. But then he made up for it when Zlatan had a point-blank header, and that he made a David De Gea save, in my opinion. That's what David does. Like, those saves where it's like, you have no business. Like, as soon as Zlatan beat Luke Shaw for the header, I'm like, we're going into extra time. So I think you need to continue. Oh, I didn't know this. I didn't know you didn't. They're starting Kepa? Damn.
It's someone else. He's called Unai.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if you saw it, but against Kosovo, he basically did that thing that keepers do sometimes, where he just basically sprinted out of his goal, missed the ball, and then got lobbed from just past the halfway line.
Oh, that happened?
Yeah.
I didn't pay attention to any of the international breaks. They don't play it up here. Okay, so I'm going to say David De Gea.
Unai Simon, sorry, that's the one. Yeah.
I'm going to say David De Gea is the one who starts. Because Ollie's weird, though. He's a sentimental guy sometimes. He does, like, he trusts David. He wants David to, like, be rewarded for everything he's done. It would be a tragedy for me if we sold David De Gea this summer, for instance, and then we went on to win the league like in 2 years. It would just be like, oh, like same with Pogba. Like if Pogba decides he wants to leave, that's on him. But like there's certain players who you're like, when we do figure it out and when it does finally, like when Ollie finally gets all the players in and such. And I actually don't know if Pogba will leave, if I'm going to be honest. We're taking a look at like you see Juventus right now is in third in Serie A, but he does have a relationship with Pirlo. You see
Pirlo's not going to be there, though, is he?
Yeah, I know, right? That's the thing. If Pirlo goes, then Pogba surely can't be going back to Juventus. But the reason everybody's talking about Juventus is because the problem, like the thing is, Pogba was really loved there. They are almost guaranteed to win trophies. Pogba, I think, likes that kind of space. They really need a midfielder, and maybe they could be a lot better. And they're all about the free transfers, right? Like, so if we don't sell Pogba this summer, he's gone on a free. There's no way you sell him in January. So he's going somewhere on a free. He'll choose where he goes, which I'm okay with. I've said it multiple times is I'm completely okay with. Correct. That is like the only it's just the truth though. What else are you going to do? Like you sell Pogba this summer. Let's be honest. If we sell Pogba this summer, we are starting over. Like we're going to fall out of the top 4 next year. Because if you sell Pogba, you need to go buy 3 midfielders. You have to. You'll have to go get a CDM. You'll have to go get at least 1 or 2 other good creators to make up for losing him.
You've got to think. I'm just thinking from the point of view of Woodward and the Glazers. I just think there's no way Woodward would have the embarrassment of the guy you bought for 90 million leaving on a free. Like, I just can't see it happening.
But that's what big clubs do. That's what big clubs do, though. Normally big signings like that don't get sold. Like, or they get sold for like real dirt cheap. Like Thiago went for 29 million or whatever. And I'm sure, and I don't know how much Bayern bought him for. Obviously the prices were different, but like, look at PSG with Kylian Mbappe. His contract's up next year. He hasn't signed a renewal. Like, are we realistically going to see Kylian Mbappe get sold by PSG if he doesn't sign a renewal? Or are they just going to let him walk? Like, it's a tough one, and it's a weird one. Like Ronaldo, obviously,
Haaland, Ronaldo, and Mbappe are all in that same position. Then, right?
Mbappe, like, yeah, it's going to be the next year.
Then next year,
2022 is going to be real crazy. And this is a good point. Like we bought Herrera for 50 mil. We let him leave because we're like
Messi as well.
Yeah, Messi's going to leave on a free. Like Messi's going to leave on a free. Like no one, he's not being sold. If he leaves, it's on a free. So yeah. All right, let's get to score predictions because I know we both want to go watch the Liverpool Arsenal game. What's your score prediction for this one?
5-1.
What? All right, well, we know you're not going to get this one right, but if you do, damn.
Yeah, it's going to be 5-1, Cam. I can see it now.
5-1.
Yeah.
Cavani hat-trick?
Cavani hat-trick, and Sir Luke Shaw is going to score 2 goals as well. And Danny Welbeck is going to get the goal for Brighton.
Oh, this guy's taking the piss. I'm going 2-0. I think we'll be defensively sound. I suspect Brighton will miss some sitters. I suspect Brighton will miss goals. Like something. I suspect they'll do something where they should have scored and they screw up. I don't know who will score for us. It'll probably be Bruno. Bruno's been off the score sheet for a bit. I feel like tomorrow's one of those games where he'll pop up and do something brilliant again. If Rashford plays, he probably scores 2. Rashford or Greenwood, one of those 2. But I think it'll be 2-0. Convincingly. Like I don't think at any point we'll be too worried. I think like sure it'll be like 1-0 and then like we'll probably score late and everybody will be a little nervy. But it's a game we have to win. It's an absolute must win. If we win tomorrow, onto the Europa League. Alexi, I swear, if this season ends and we win Europa League and finish in second, we're getting drunk on stream and making fun of everybody. Because the amount of hate that's come our way for being like, even people who are saying like, why do you think we could still win the Europa League? I'm like, I don't know, because we're playing Granada next and like Ajax and Roma still there. Like, why do you think we can't win the Europa League? That's
people think we can't beat Granada, and I'm like, guys, I know you're a bit down about the Leicester game, but You genuinely believe over 2 legs we can't overcome Granada? Like, really?
And it's just like the whole, let's talk about how we Ollie's not held to the standard as everybody else. He still hasn't won a trophy. I'm like, isn't there still a competition for him to do it in? This is even when we were in the FA Cup.
Oh, God.
Yeah. All right, with that, we'll end the stream here. It's a fun one. Had some good laughs. We'll see everybody. Like and subscribe the video if you're new to the channel. Comments, talk to us on Twitter. We're always about. Yeah, thanks for tuning in. See you again soon. Peace.